Good morning. Everything is crumbling. Everything is crumbling. What are you going to do? Good morning. There's a little break in the rain, so we'll just go out to get some fresh air. I don't want you to be inside stuffy all the time. Even though it's not a sunrise, there's something beautiful about the freshness of after rain moments. I'm in no danger of waking up anybody here, so here you have the sound of beautiful bells. Well, just one bell. There's something great about bells, isn't there? You see it's all wet here. Even the lake is wet. That's an interesting light over there behind the palm tree. So there's a lot of humidity, maybe it's kind of a mist, and more than a dampness. And light, the sun is coming up, obviously. The sun is up, but it's not visible to us. And it's casting those lights there on the hills. That valley cuts in across towards Syria. There's a big valley there. Actually, they're excavating a port over there in the last year or two, a first century port, apparently. And up in that valley, we were there about, I don't know how long ago, maybe a month or 6 weeks ago, to visit a synagogue that was discovered from the Byzantine period, Ein Keshetot. So you go in a roadway over there, or you can come out over there if you go in from the back. So here we are, people. All these clouds. Just keep an eye on the rain, because the rain is coming from this direction, so don't want to be out in the rain with the camera, or with me, if I can be inside. You know, even though I was reared in Ireland, I grew up in Ireland. Or some people say, where'd you grow up? I said, I didn't grow up yet. Well, I was growing up in Ireland, and we had tons of rain. Probably we had enough for a whole lifetime, you know. So I'm not in a hurry to be out in the rain. So we haven't been around here for a while in the gardens. Look at how green Mount Arbel is. So for those of you who weren't connected yet, I started off with a question this morning. What are you doing when everything is crumbling? And you mean everything. Everything. Everything is crumbling. Hey, what's going on, hey? What's going on? You don't like the sound of everything crumbling, huh? Everything is crumbling, Solar. Remember all the flowers we had here? The red and the yellow. And the yellow were still here recently. I think we're done with them now. Maybe we'll find one or two still. A number of times we've started out this side. Just let's walk up through the gardens, because we're not going to miss sunrise. We can walk up here. The gardens really have come on along a lot. It's amazing. In 1 year, you know, a year ago yesterday, we opened Magdala, and the gardens were recently planted, really, all the plants, and they were still coming, but they really have thrived. And they're doing very well. Beautiful colours. They're a bit beaten up now, probably with all the heavy rain last night. I see all these ones are a bit down, but that's to be expected. Here we have this pool with the fish. Between this pool and the other pool up there with the other pillar, there are 153 fish, for the miracle of the primacy of Peter after the resurrection and the memory, do you love me? 3 times. Do you love me? So I'm grateful for this dry moment to take you out here. Hear the birds? That's another reason to be outside, because inside you can't really hear the birds. There seems to be one plant here that isn't repeated around the gardens, that's in bloom. For all you plant lovers. And then we have the ceramics here on the pillar. Got you more fish there. 153 little fish. Murano glass. Done by Maria Jesus Fernandez, as before. So people, everything is crumbling. That was our line. And if you look at the readings today, it's amazing. It's all crumbling. And it's not just the bad guys crumbling, like Babylon. And there we need to make a big distinction, you know. We have the present day Iraqi people there. And you have so many Christian martyrs there. Very, very strong faith. Amazing perseverance in the faith. The Chaldean church. So amazing. But Babylon has fallen. The one who persecuted, the one who beat up. So this language, you know, is reminiscent obviously of the exile, which reminds us again of all the background of the story, all the lead up, all the preparation, all the vocabulary, the foundational ideas that constitute the means to tell the story. So Babylon is fallen, and that's the first reading from Book of Revelation. So it's the account of all the persecutors, an imageful way of saying that the persecution is over. This is the whole point of the Book of Revelation, is to help the Christians to realize that persecution is not forever. This is a period we go through, and that we need to keep that perspective to realize that it's not the end of the world, you know. But yet when Jesus is speaking in the gospel, it's the end of the world. Well, first of all, Jerusalem. Jerusalem is falling. Hey, 1 second. Not just the bad guys in Babylon, but the city of God is falling. The city where he dwells. Wow. And it's not just that, but it's the collapse of the entire cosmos, the material world. No wonder Jesus said, "My kingdom is not of this world." He knew it was all crumbling. How we need to develop this awareness. And yet we can be filled with thanksgiving. Isn't that amazing? And today in North America, Thanksgiving is celebrated in a powerful way. Very conscious, very, very clear. And even if the world is crumbling, we can still be filled with thanksgiving. And there you have Daniel and the tree and the fire, and they are singing praise to God, walking around in the midst of the fire. That's a special light effect in the boat altar chapel there, without any lights turned on. In the worst times, we can still be filled with gratitude. All evil overcome, even as the world crumbles. Very tough moment for Peter, sinking in the water there, here at the Singapore chapel, the Walking on the Water chapel. Big thank you also, even though the Singapore people aren't celebrating Thanksgiving, a big thank you today to all the benefactors who made Magdala possible. Lord of heaven and earth, I give you thanks, the heavens and the earth and the seas. No matter what's crumbling, no matter what's in convulsion, the serenity of that face, the confidence of the one whose hand is in the Lord's hand. The waves can be immense, can be bigger than the boat, and nevertheless, confidence, serenity, peace. And this is the teaching of the book of Revelation. And this is why Jesus is preparing the disciples with his conversation about the end of time. The scientists are very busy explaining the beginning of time, how it all started. And you have that. Do you know who invented the theory of the Big Bang? It was actually a priest, a Belgian priest. So there's plenty of room for science, for the great gift of reason God has given the human being. And we give him glory by using it. And so the scientists are very busy explaining the origins of life, trying to get to the bottom of that, how life starts inside a plant, in animal life, in the whole cosmos, its beginnings, the material world. But Jesus was concerned to help the disciples to realize how it all finishes. And let's look now at the text, since we're inside with this calm. And we can pause for a moment. And we keep our eye in case there's any little sun ray comes out here. Or maybe we should go outside. What do you prefer? I think we go outside. It's not it is raining again. I just see the pool here. There are drops falling. So to protect the equipment, let's stay inside. Maybe we go back a little further here. Although this angle is not good to see the sun because the sun is coming up over that direction. So I need to be over there. Well, we won't see much sunrise probably. Let's just look a little bit at the scriptures right now. The scriptures can be our sunrise this morning. By the way, the link you have today for the readings is the link for the readings of the Thursday of the 34th week. There are also specific readings for the day of Thanksgiving, which you can find inside that link once you open it, and you can switch to those if you wish to later on for your own reflection. But now we're going to stay with the readings for the Thursday since we're following that pattern these weeks, and then most of the countries are not focused on the theme of Thanksgiving, although we should be thankful all the time. Thanksgiving is a basic, an attitude of thanksgiving, a conscious thanksgiving, all the time, in many directions, toward God, toward each other, toward our parents, our grandparents, all those who built our house, who built the cars we drive, who prepared the food for us. You know, today you can't just go out and pick your own fruit like I do in the morning and pick a pompelmo and enjoy it. We just have to get this from other countries through other people. That's the way it's all structured, all the food produce and the deliveries. How many people intervene? And we can say thank you about every meal. A thank you to so many people who helped to prepare it. But we're going to stay now with the book of Revelation. And it's kind of a terrifying scene with an angel coming down from heaven with great authority and crying out in a mighty voice, "Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great." It's probably the feeling that many people had at the end of a war, let's say World War II, when the war was over and it was declared over and the other side lost. And there was such relief, and the concentration camps were opened up and people were let free. And people who needed help could get help. People that were oppressed by military rule could be liberated. And then something terrifying happens. A mighty angel picked up a stone like a huge millstone and threw it into the sea and said, "With such force will Babylon, the great city, be thrown down and will never be found again." So there we have the end of Babylon, which is described in very human terms. No melodies of harpists, musicians, no trumpeters and flutists will be heard in you again. So it's a definitive destruction. No craftsman in any trade will ever be found in you again. Your merchants were the great ones of the world. All nations were led astray by your magic potion. After this I heard what sounded like the loud voice of a great multitude in heaven saying, "Alleluia, salvation, glory, and might belong to our God." So the corruption is over. This is a very powerful experience then for all those who have been unjustly treated. It's the victory of goodness. It's the moment of justice where those who have persevered against all odds, in terrible torture against the grain, against the stream, against the current, against the political correctness, how they have now entry into the wedding feast of the Lamb. So this is where we are in the book of Revelation. So it's the time of complete triumph for those who are faithful. And we have that in the psalm, "Blessed are they who are called to the wedding feast of the Lamb. Sing joyfully to the Lord, all your lands," with Psalm 100. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before him with joyful song. Know that the Lord is good. He made us. We are his people, the flock he tends. That's also very beautiful for Thanksgiving. Enter his gates with thanksgiving, his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and bless his name. For the Lord is good, his kindness endures forever, his faithfulness to all generations. So, this, maybe another moment to think about this is the image that Jesus used in the gospel, the woman who's having a child. And there is such pain, such struggle, and now the moment of celebration. The baby is born. The new life has come. Celebration starts. But this is then the destruction of the center of evil. But now let's go to the gospel. And Jesus is saying to his disciples in Luke 21, when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, know that its desolation is at hand. Flee to the mountains. Escape from the city those who are in it. And actually there's a very strong tradition of how the early Christians left Jerusalem before the closing of the siege around the city and went to a place in present-day Jordan called Pella, quite a community of them. There's academic discussion about this, but it seems that they applied these words of Jesus at that time. Terrible calamity will come upon the earth. Jerusalem will be trampled underfoot by the Gentiles, crumble. It's not just Babylon crumbles, but Jerusalem does. And we can even bring that into the history of the church, because so many times the church reaches great expressions of culture, transformation of society, and the dominant voice in society. But sometimes also that leads to complacency and corruption. And we all have to watch out over our own prayer lives, even in the course of our own lives, how many times we can be threatened by breakdown. Spiritual breakdown. We are very fragile in every order, not just before a virus called corona. We are very fragile in every order. There will be signs in the sun and the moon, the stars and the earth. Nations will be in dismay, perplexed by the roaring of the sea and the waves. People will die of fright. So the heavens will be shaken, the heavens. The stars will be moving, the cosmos will be in convulsion. And then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Stand straight up, raise your heads, because your redemption is at hand. So this is an extraordinarily powerful image about the end of evil, the end of a lot of human construction, the victory of absolute goodness. And therefore the motivation for all the followers to live by goodness, to live in fidelity, to live in fidelity, to live faithfully, to complete their fidelity, to persevere to the end, no matter what the struggles are, no matter what the challenges are. And all these guys, they all went through that phase because they were all martyred. Thomas, that had his doubts, didn't want to believe, who resisted Jesus, martyr. Evangelizer in India. And there we have the second Judas, the son of Jacob, Judas Thaddeus. And then Andrew, who was crucified in the form of an X because he didn't feel worthy to be crucified like Jesus was. Imagine that. You know, the way these guys grew to that love. And they were very faulty guys. Simon the Zealot, politically totally revolutionary, you know, radical. That was the Zealots. The Zealots were like that, and he was known that he was a Zealot. And then he's right here beside Matthew, who was an ally of the Romans collecting taxes. And the Zealots are the ones that, you know, defended Jerusalem against the Romans, and obviously they were crumbled. So this is amazing, people. This is our life. This is your life. In our world today, maybe we don't have the dramatic features in our own personal experience directly that we have to go through, but we see it happening for so many believers in our time. The challenge to live the faith, the challenge in raising a family in very difficult circumstances. It looks like it's not raining now, so I'll just bring you outside here for a second. So maybe we can hear some more birds. Here we have John the Evangelist. Good, it's dry. So that's as much sunrise we have today, people. The rain is beginning to fill this up. Soder's coming to say goodbye. Yep, turn around, sir. So people, thank you for joining today. It's great to have this time together at the Sea of Galilee in the early morning, joining with the one who prayed so profoundly here, and the disciples always found him praying. Look at the mist over that valley I was looking at from inside. Well, people, let's say goodbye. God bless you. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody who's celebrating Thanksgiving. Let the day be filled with the deepest gratitude. And we'll be praying the Mass here today, Mass of the Thanksgiving prayers. We'll use the readings of the day, God willing. And wish you many, many blessings. No matter what the clouds are like. God bless you. See you later, alligators.